Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, Mary, Alan, everybody. I truly am really blessed that I'm here. I want to start by kind of everyone, if you can, if you feel, to stand up. There's a lot of energy moving around here. Just kind of stand up and kind of move a little bit so we can kind of shake it off. It's really crowded in here with all these animals. So if you feel a little bit like someone's near you, they are. So don't be surprised. And you're going to kind of, if you close your eyes for a minute, take a deep breath in and out. What animal, you don't have to share this right now, but what animal comes to mind? Okay, they're all here. Let's sit down. It might have been your animal that showed up. Okay, just a little housekeeping here. I tend to kind of go all over the place. So I welcome anyone to get me back on track. And I always say that I am perfectly imperfect. So here we go. I obviously am an animal communicator. I started talking to animals at the age of 5. We lived in Lake Winnipesaukee. I don't know if anyone knows where that is. It's kind of back east. And we were building my family was building a lake home. And I was in the bathroom as a 5-year-old, and the squirrel was sitting there next to me. And I was having a full-on conversation with the squirrel. And I was talking to him about how beautiful his coat is and how shiny it is and how it must feel to actually wear that fur and what it must feel like on your feet. I mean, it was really descriptive. And then my mother heard me talking. She's like, what is she doing in there? And she opened the door and started screaming because she saw the squirrel. I started screaming. He's freaking out. I mean, it was just this whole cluster. And of course, I'm yelling at my mom, leave him alone, leave him alone. And so that was my first recollection of actually having a conversation. So going through that, and then through life, and growing up in a very Italian Catholic situation, I heard a lot of lies in my life. You're dramatic, you're over-exaggerating, you're all those things. You're weird, you're all those things. So how many in the audience here, you can just raise your hand, have had that in their lives? So, yeah, right? So that being said, I always knew in my heart that those things weren't true. And then, and I'm going to kind of skip around. So then you fast forward, I went to UCLA. Yes, I'm a Bruin, through interior design, and I started my interior design career. And I was very fortunate that I was so successful in that. I designed hotels and restaurants all over the world. I did the first Starbucks in Narita, Japan. That allowed me to get back into horses. Oh, I started riding horses when I was about 7. So I'd been riding for many years. Got back into horses as an adult, and with that, kind of a sidebar, this is my horse Eternal. He was born with this name, Eternal Flame. So, and it's really incredible in regards to how we were even connected. So I'll tell you this little story because I think it's fascinating. So as an adult, I'm getting back into riding and looking for a horse, and I didn't want anything fancy. I wasn't going to show anymore. I just wanted to trail ride and have fun and just enjoy. And I tried to buy a horse, and it went south. And I called up my friend. I was upset. And I'm like, this deal fell through, and I'm upset, and whatever. She says, well, Eternal's for sale. And I'm like, no. He was doing the Grand Prix. If anyone knows what that is, it's the really big jumps. Okay, he was doing the Grand Prix. And I'm like, too fancy. It's not what I'm looking for. Plus, he was $85,000, okay? And this was 25 years ago. I'm like, I don't have that money. I'm not doing the things. So she said, just come out for lunch. I'm like, Ann, I'm not meeting you for lunch. Because I knew where that was going. Just come out for lunch. She said, no, I'm not going to come out for lunch. I'll meet you at your house. So I'm driving there, and she calls, and she goes, I'm stuck at the barn. You got to meet me at the barn. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So I get to the barn, and I walk up, and who's in the cross ties? Eternal. He is gleaming and shiny. His feet are painted. He's all saddled up. I mean, all the things. And I looked at her, and I said, you know what, Ann, this is not funny. This is not cool. Please. And she said, just get on him. And I'm like, what? I mean, I'm like, as an adult getting back into it, I'm jumping little cross rails. I'm not doing the big thing. Just get on him. So I get on him, and I'm riding him around. I'm like, of course he's fancy. Hello, right? She says, just go jump that jump. I'm like, all right. Jump that one, jump that. And it's 4 feet now. Okay, and I'm like, she goes, just grab mane. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like praying that I'm not going to fall off. Anyway, long story short, of course it was fabulous. I felt really great. We go to lunch, and she goes, so what do you think about Eternal? And I'm like, what do you think I think? He's fancy. He's awesome. But I don't have that money. I'm not spending that money. She goes, well, how much were you going to buy that other horse for? And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I was so embarrassed. I'm like, I don't think I can tell you. And she goes, just tell me. And I go, $5,000. And she goes, you write me a check right now and you can have him. Makes me like, woof. I was like, what? And she was dead serious. So the universe changed so many things to make that happen. It was just incredible. So I'm telling you this story because I know that you guys in your life have some story or stories that you can relate to that, whether it was with an animal or a partner or whatever it was, a car, even whatever it was. I know you can relate to that. So that moment was really the trajectory of me becoming an animal communicator. So it was super powerful. I am challenged with anxiety attacks. And I was pulling up to the barn one day, and they come on randomly. I don't know if you guys ever experienced one, but one had come on pretty strong. And so I went up to Eternal. This is very early on in our relationship. We'd only been together maybe a few months. And I went up to Eternal, and I'm like, oh my God, Eternal, I'm just like really like struggling here. And he literally wrapped his head around me and pulled me into his chest, and just his head was down the back of me, and he just held me until it went away. And I thought, oh my God, this is crazy, not crazy, right? So all these things started happening throughout, we were together 20 years. So I had millions of those stories. So he was really the one who was teaching me throughout this whole relationship. And I would go to parties, and I remember this one party. I walked into the party, and the hostess, very new, I just had met her. And before I could even say hello to her, her dog was right here, and he was like, hello, can you please tell my mom about my tail? Can you tell her about my tail? And I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, here's your hostess gift. What are you talking about, And he was talking about his tail. And so I went up to her and I said, okay, well, you're going to think I'm nuts, but your dog is talking about his tail. There's something really wrong with his tail. Can you bring him to the vet? Can you do something? And I just kind of left it. Well, this is on a Saturday. So Monday she takes him into the vet. Well, she takes him in. He had surgery. He had cancer in his tail. So I'm telling you this because if you're getting messages, because anyone can learn what I do. Anyone. If you can learn German or Italian or any language, you can learn animal language. So if you ever have those experiences, I really recommend that you really lean into it and see where it takes you, see what happens. How did I actually get into this? Well, when Eternal was aging, I was introduced to a Reiki master, and so he had Reiki on him. So Eternal had the massage, the chiropractor, the Reiki master, all the things. But I didn't, which is very typical of a horse owner. They have more clothes than us. They have everything. So I was introduced to Reiki way back when. And now, fast forward, I'm faced with sending Eternal to heaven. And that really knocked me to my knees. I mean, you talk about really being in the deepest, darkest depths of hell. That's where I was, and I was there for 4 years. And that is really why I'm so passionate about teaching all of you and everybody about animal language, because it's incredibly powerful, it heals, and it will assist you through this journey, what we call life, right? It makes it so much better, your travels through life. So in this place where I was, this space, no one really knew what to do with me. My husband didn't know, my family didn't know. I mean, everyone's like, we don't know how to even support you. So one day, it was coming New Year's, and there was a sound bath puja. It was an overnight puja. If anyone knows what a puja is, it's like an overnight sound bath, and it started at like 6 at night, and it went all the way past midnight to 7 a.m. And I thought, I'm going to go. What else am I going to do on New Year's, right? So I told my husband, I go, you're on your own. I'm doing this thing. I'm just going to see what happens. So I go to this. And there was at a yoga studio. It was kind of as big as this. And there were so many people. And you're like packed in, and you get a yoga mat. That's like your space. And I was sitting there, and the gong started, the sound bath started, all this. And this woman comes up to me, and she kneels in front of me, and she had the most magnetic smile. You've met people like that, right? And she looks at me, and she had these tuning forks in her hands, and I didn't know what those were. And she said, can I share my tuning forks with you? And I'm like, sure. So she does her thing, puts it in my ears, and I was just looking at her like, oh my God, I'm in love. I mean, it changed my life. Sound actually it's almost like it snapped me out of this place. I was like, what in the world is going on? Anyway, she was a Reiki master, and she ended up being my teacher, and that's how I got into Reiki. So I did Reiki 1, which is on yourself. Then I did Reiki 2, and I'm like, I'm good. And I'm like, no, I'm going to be master. So I did my master. And then I went on to becoming an animal Reiki practitioner. So I teach Reiki. If anyone wants to learn, let me know. And that's also been instrumental in me, in my readings, how I do Reiki. Readings. So I'm going to go through, that's kind of my journey. I now have 2 fur children. They're cats, and Olive and Melvin. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about. So my initials, my birth initials, are AEW. And I named my website Awe Visions, because AEW, and then Visions because the Visions. Well, one day I was like, this is like weird, not weird. A is for Aimee. E is for eternal. And W is for Willow, who is what I called my baby daughter. She was my dog of 15 years. So me, Willow, and Eternal, we were like the 3 musketeers, if you will, for 15, 20 years together. So it's kind of interesting how even initials or numbers or whatever, how they're so relatable to your journey in life. So I'm hoping that you guys have experienced something like that too, through your life. Now, how do I do these readings? Well, I am very gifted in regards to my clairs. You got your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, all the clairs, right? So I see a lot of things, and I usually do it with my eyes closed, and I see visions or pictures. There's a lot of times where animals will show me puzzles. They're really into puzzles lately, which is really cool. So they show me particular puzzles. And then also scent. And when I go through these, I kind of want you guys to think about where your strengths are in regards to your clairs, right? So do you see things or do you smell? I smell a lot of things. I smell smoke. I smell tar, grass, different grasses and seeds, all kinds of smells. Then there's the gut feeling, right, where you just know, like you know, right? You just know. And then there's hearing. I hear a lot, and I gotta tell you, so animals talk actually in, some of them talk in accents. And it's really, really cool to hear those. It's like super cool to hear those. There's a lot of, I call talk singers, where they sing when they talk. And it's really fun because you hear all kinds of different songs, regular songs, or maybe it's a rock, they sing like a rock star, or they'll sing like an opera. So those are really, really fun. I did actually have a dog come in and talk Japanese. And I'm like, I don't know Japanese. And it had nothing to do with his owner. His owner wasn't Japanese, but he was talking in Japanese. I'm like, okay, so can you talk in a different language? And to ask him if he can talk in a different language, whether it's verbally, changing his actual words, like talking English, or show me pictures or sounds or a different direction. So he's like, all right, I'll talk English. So that was kind of fun. So if you ever hear your animal or your feather child talking in different languages, ask them to talk in a language that you understand. You can actually, even if you're talking, this is a good example. Nada. She took my class, and in the class, we had a chicken that we were talking to. And this chicken was saying that she wanted to talk in French. Well, she was a French hen. I don't know anything about chickens, but you found out she was a French hen, but she wanted to talk in French. And so the message was that her friend, Nada, was supposed to teach her parent French so she could then talk to the chicken. So how cool is that? And I was thinking about that the other day, how beautiful that this chicken, right, was bringing them together, their relationship in a different way. I mean, I don't know. This is pretty fascinating, I think. I mean, would you ever think of talking French to your friend? You know, I mean, I don't know. Her name was Gretel, so Gretel the chicken. So yay, Gretel. Super, super cool. Let's see, what else did they talk about? One of the questions I get a lot is, are they going to rat me out? Are they going to tell my deepest, darkest secrets? Are they going to tell things that maybe I don't want to hear or whatever? I will tell you that they always, 100%, million percent, always come from the biggest place of love. Always love. That is their whole drive, is love. So if you think maybe you, don't want to hear something, maybe you do need to hear it, and it needs to come from them because they are bringing it forward with love. Right? A lot of animals talk about businesses. And I feel like there's kind of a lot more on this side of the room for some reason. People that are making a shift in a different career. And it could be anything. And what I mean by career is an alternative source of income. Just the other day, I was talking to this animal, and his advice for his dad, there was a couple. And let me back up, sorry. This is where I get. So before I do my readings, I always create an earth element grid. And it has some type of outline, whether it's a person or an animal or a flower, whatever it is. And then that's pulled intuitively. And then I pull these earth elements, the crystals, rocks, different items that I have. I intuitively pull these and place them on the grid, and that kind of it gives me an insight of who I'm talking to or who I'm going to talk to. So one of the earth elements that I pulled was this rock that is representative of an egg. I'm like, okay, so it could be a birth of a business. It could be a birth of a child. It could be a birth of whatever. Kind of like a butterfly, when they go from the caterpillar to the butterfly, it's a change. So I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I love when the I love when that comes up. So I was talking to them, and their dog was saying, I met her. And I'm like, who's her? Who's her? And he didn't have a name yet, but he says, s, 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 and he was an S sound. So we're on Zoom, and I said, are you pregnant? And she said, yes. I said, oh, your dog has met your child, your unborn child. And I said, have you named her? And she said, yes. And she grabs her husband's hands like, ooh, here we go. And I said, does her name start with an S? Because he's saying s, s, like an S. And she says, yes, we named her Sage. So I'm like, okay, perfect. Well, your dog, I know this sounds like way out there, but your dog has met your child, your unborn child, and the business that you're doing right now is not really advantageous, excuse me, to your future when your child comes. So the guy is like, what are you talking about? I said, well, there's just some aspect of your business that you need to shift. Your dog is telling you this, that you need to shift when your child is born. And I said, when is your child due to be born? She says, end of December. And I'm like, okay, so we need to go quickly. So I said, what business are you in right now? What are you doing? And he says, well, I'm doing plant medicine. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So the dog's like, ooh. So I'm like, how do I present this without going, because the dog's saying this. So I said, okay, well, let's talk about this. And maybe let's shift that. Let me tell you what your dog is seeing. So your dog is seeing that you are to not do that, but to do these readings, and they're supposed to be quick, like fast readings, because he's very intuitive. These fast readings, like 10, 15-minute max readings with song, which is so incredible. And so he's like, oh, yeah, I've been getting song, and these songs drop into his head. And I said, but those songs are not for you, they're for your client. So whatever song comes in, that's the message. And so it's going to be this huge thing. I mean, this guy's going to be world renowned. He really is. That's what I saw from this dog showing me. So anyway, he was like all excited about it, this and that. And it was just really, really cool how the dog was kind of telling him, hey, you can't be doing these journey things, plant medicine things with people. You need to do this. And so anyway, he's, of course, obviously super excited about it, and he's creating all that. So that was, so will they rat you out? I don't really want to call it ratting you out, but they will bring stuff up that you're supposed to know. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions? Hi, what's your name?
My name's Allison.
Hi.
Every animal communicator I have ever come across is always very into horses. Are they just easier to communicate with? I don't have a lot of experience with horses. Mine are mostly with smaller animals.
I don't think they're for me, they're not easier to talk to than any other animal. I think what happens is the spirit of the horse is so, they're all magical, but there's something about a horse that is so powerful, magical, dreamy, romantic, all these things, and they are so open. they really are just open to talk. So I think it's easy for people that maybe don't have a developed gift yet to talk to a horse. I think that's where that horse thing comes in. Hi, what's your name?
I'm Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
My question is, do animals come back as something else, or like say a
question.
dog, would he come back and live another life somewhere else?
Okay, excellent question. I'm so glad you asked that. Okay, so some animals do come back. Some of them go off and do other things, but they don't necessarily always come back as a dog. If they departed as a dog, they might not come back as a dog. If they departed as a rabbit, maybe they come back as a llama. It just depends on their choice. It's really, they have the choice.
Would it always be an animal?
Would it always be an animal? Yeah. I have not seen, in my experience, I have not seen an animal come back as, we'll go to you in 1 second. I have not seen an animal come back as anything other than an animal. But I will tell you that this is an interesting story. So there was a cat that had departed, and this client of mine, she books a session with me on every anniversary of his departure date. She wants to check in on him, this and that, because I can talk to animals whether they're present or departed. It doesn't matter. So when he departed, 6 months after his departure date, we checked in on him, and she said, "What is he doing now?" And it was so incredible. He was a dog now. And he was it looked like Ireland. I've never been to Ireland, but it looked like Ireland with the green and then the dropping of the cliffs. And he was there in Ireland with the child that was about 3 or 4 in a wheelchair. And so his job was to be this child's guardian, really. Throughout his life. And it was super interesting, still gives me chills, because she said, "My husband and I are going to Ireland in 2 months." I'm like, well, you're going to see a child in a wheelchair, and just know that that was your fur baby, and how beautiful it is that you are the one who gave this fur child the life that you did, and honored it so much that it is now doing another amazing job. So good for you as the paw parent. And that's one thing that we really have to honor, is the role that we have on them, because it's almost like we're rearing real children, really. Yeah.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
I'm Amy. Every so often, when we're in my bed, because my dog shares my bed with me, she will get really focused and just look up at the ceiling like this.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure she's talking to my mother, she's talking to someone, and she's getting a message from me.
Okay,
But
so let's talk about that.
Sure.
Thank you. So when you see animals doing that, yes, they are getting messages from others. It could be parents that had passed. It could be anybody, anything. Now, I will tell you also that they are, you're going to think this is super crazy, but it's fact, because I see it a lot. They are here, a lot of them, as scientists, because they show me, like, Einstein's board, right, with all the stuff, the formulas and all that. They show me things like that. And so they are here to code the earth, to really for the ascension of the planet. They're here to teach Alzheimer's in animals. It's a big thing. That's been coming up a lot. So there's animals here that I've spoken to that are actually working on a medicine for that, because it's real in the animal world as well. So they're talking to all kinds of people's places, things, beings. Some of them are working, doing these codes. Other are talking to whoever. I have my cat Olive. She will walk through the house in the middle of the night and she'll sing. I mean, literally sing. She goes, ah. Like, that's not a cat, you know? Ah. And I know that there's angels flying around her house, and she's talking to them. So I wake up and Olive, I love when you sing. Hi.
Hi. Do your pets ever come back to you as another pet?
Such a good question. Absolutely. Yes. Oh my gosh, I've seen so many. So a lot of times what happens in that situation is, let's say there's, because this had just happened probably 4 times in the last month when I've talked to animals that are ready to depart. One, they'll never, ever give me a departure date. They just don't. It's too, and I had asked them one time, why don't you? Because, you know, your paw parents want a departure date. They won't do it because it's too stressful on us. We can't handle it. So, and that's, I mean, what a beautiful space of love, right? So they'll never give an actual departure date. However, they will have instructions in regards to their departure sometimes, like real big ceremonies. It's pretty crazy. So do they come back as your pets? Yes, they can. They've shown me, yes, I'm going to come back as a striped cat. And you're going to know because this cat's going to be literally this small and it's going to have like goopy eyes. So they will show what they are going to be. Have you experienced that? Well, then it's true. Then you got the feeling, you know how. Yeah. Hi.
Hi, my name is Emily.
Hi.
I was debating whether to make this comment, and because of that last one, I have to say I had a reading once. I think it was when my dog Scooter was ailing, so she was at the end of her life, and the reader said, this has never come up in a reading before, but she's saying she's going to come back to you one day.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how will I know? How will I find her? And she said, you'll just see this puppy, and you'll just know.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that that was common.
Absolutely. Yep.
I'm still waiting for it to happen, but one day.
Maybe you're not looking.
I'm not looking right now because of all the coyotes here.
There's no because.
You're right. It's just
Honor
timing.
it and go.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. So my name's Kelly.
Hi.
So you might prefer I address this afterwards, but questions on, I'm not thinking about for myself, for a relative and a friend, 2 people, about your private sessions and classes. And where are they, and are there different, I know each person's totally different in what their needs would be for learning.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that question. Yes, I do all the things. I teach Reiki. If anyone's interested in Reiki, I do that. You have to go through the Reiki session before you do the animal Reiki, but I do that. Now, my sessions for readings, how they work, I do 30 and 60-minute readings, and they're all via Zoom. People go, oh, not in person, what? Well, the reason is because if I go, well, I don't do it, but if I went to a home, I'm not only reading the animal, but the animal's so excited, right? There's a lot, they don't get focused. I'm reading the energy of the home. I'm reading the energy of the land, that the home sits on. I'm reading the energy of the family dynamics, everything. And you don't get a true reading. You just don't. So I don't do in person. They're all via Zoom. So, and they're also recorded, which is nice, because then you can relax through the reading, and you don't have to take notes and do all the things, right? So what you would do is, if you have a present, or even a departed, but if you have a present animal, then you would just hold them up to the camera, and I would connect with them. Then you put them down and you let them be. You don't touch them, because if you touch them, that actually breaks the connection. It kind of muddles the connection that you have, the energy connection. You don't get a true reading. So you just put them down. And they can go in the other room. They don't have to be present. And then another thing is that you don't play what they call I Spy, because they just are like, and what I call I Spy is like when I'm, delivering the messages, you're like, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they walking? Oh, he blinked, It's like, just let him be, because it's almost like it's too invasive, right? So just let him be. And so I start giving messages to you in regards to what they're saying, and then we go through your questions. You would have however many questions you want. And then I would say, what is your first question? And then you would ask the question as if you're asking them, and then I would deliver the message. So those how the readings go. Now, I am teaching an animal communication class. It's an intro class, and it's really fun. Nada took it last month, and it's going to be next week, next Saturday on the 14th, but I teach them every month. So I encourage you guys to join, because it's really fun. Last one we talked to present dog, a departed dog, the chicken, and she was present, and then a horse. So it's really fun to learn that, because like I said, anyone can learn that. There's a sign-up sheet in the back if you just want to leave the email. You can text me. I'm super available and very approachable. So just send me a text, tell me where I met you and what you need, and I'll help you. Yeah, that'd be really, really fun. It's going to be a really, really cool class. Really cool class. And then on top of that, I created this thing called Animal Nation. I'm really excited about that. Animal Nation is going to be a monthly thing that we're going to meet for like an hour, probably go longer than an hour, but an hour where we meet every month on Zoom, and it will be like questions that you have if you've taken the course. There'll be questions that you can ask if you're having challenges with whatever. And also I'm going to be bringing in people from other animal things, maybe like a nutritionist, or maybe another Reiki master that does animals. And another thing, this is really, really cool. So this is the chakras. And you guys should take a picture of it. I know I have like a horse and a dog here, similar to a cat, but if you want the cat one, just text me or email me and I'll send you the cat one. But this is really fun to practice on your animal too.